Food bank volunteer accused me of faking being blind so I could get extra groceries. I never thought I'd be the person standing in line at a food bank. 3 months ago, I had a good job, a nice apartment, and grocery delivery every Sunday. Then my company did layoffs, and it turns out being blind puts you at the bottom of every hiring list, no matter how qualified you are. I spent 2 weeks convincing myself I wasn't too proud to ask for help. Then my guide dog Frederick and I walked through those doors with my stomach in knots and my hands shaking on his harness. The line moved slowly, and I could hear conversations around me, people chatting like this was normal for them. I envy that. When I finally reached the intake desk, a woman's voice hit me like a slap. "Oh, we've got a blind one," she said to someone nearby. "This should be interesting." Felt my face get hot, but I stayed quiet. She asked my name and I gave it. She asked for ID and I handed it over. Then she asked where I worked and I told her I was unemployed and blind. She said slowly, "How convenient." I heard her chair squeak as she leaned closer to me. "I've been volunteering here for 6 years and I've learned to spot the fakers. You don't look blind to me." I asked her what blind was supposed to look like. She ignored me and called out to another volunteer. "Hey Dennis, come over here and look at this one. She's got the whole costume, the dog, the cane, very committed." I heard footsteps and then a man's voice saying he didn't want to get involved. "Just look at her eyes," the woman insisted. "She's tracking everything." I saw her look right at me when I started talking. I explained that I have some light perception and can tell where sound is coming from. "I'm sure you can, and I'm sure that dog is a real service animal and not just a pet you threw a vest on." My throat was getting tight and I could feel Frederick pressing against my leg because he knew I was upset. She kept going. "Let me guess, you want the maximum assistance, right? Maybe some extra items because of your quote-unquote disability?" I heard someone behind me shift uncomfortably. "You people disgust me," she said, not even bothering to lower her voice. "You take resources from families who actually need them. Single mothers, children, people with real problems. You waltz in here with your little performance expecting everyone to feel sorry for you." I heard another voice from behind me, older and tired but firm. "I've been coming here for 2 years and I have never seen you treat anyone like this." The volunteer laughed. "Ma'am, this doesn't concern you. I'm protecting this organization from fraud." The older woman didn't back down. "You're humiliating a person who came here for help. That's what I see." I heard a door open somewhere in the back and footsteps coming fast. A new voice cut through everything, calm but with an edge that made the room go quiet. "What's going on out here?" The volunteer's tone changed instantly, syrupy and sweet. "Oh, hi Miranda. I was just doing intake and this client became a little combative when I asked standard verification questions." The older woman behind me spoke up again. "That's not what happened." She accused this young lady of faking being blind. There was a long pause. "Is that true?" The volunteer stammered. "I was just being thorough. We have to watch for fraud. You know how it is." Miranda's voice went cold. "I know exactly how it is. I've run this food bank for 11 years. I started it after my husband lost his vision, and we couldn't afford groceries while we waited for disability to process. I felt something shift in the room. You will go to my office and wait for me there," Miranda continued. "Do not speak to another client. Do not touch another form. Your time as a volunteer here is over." I heard the volunteer try to protest, but Miranda cut her off. "Go, now." Footsteps retreated quickly. Then I felt a gentle hand on my arm. "Sweetheart, I am so sorry," Miranda said. "That was unacceptable and it will never happen again. Will you let me personally help you with your intake?" I nodded because I didn't trust my voice. She walked me through every question herself, and when we got to the part about additional needs, she said something I'll never forget. "You ask for anything you need. This place exists for exactly this moment, so don't you dare feel ashamed for 1 second."
Why did I call the police when my daughter tried to order pineapple on pizza? I was sitting on the couch, trying to finish the show How I Met Your Mother before they took it off Netflix when my phone rang. It was my daughter Lindsay. I hadn't heard from her since she moved to her new apartment 3 weeks ago, so I was excited to see her name on the screen. "Hey Lindsay, what's up?" "Hey, is this Domino's Pizza?" she interrupted. I laughed, thinking this was just another one of her antics. "No, this is your father." "Great," she interrupted again. "Are you guys busy today?" "Guys?" It was just me. Her mother had been gone since she was a baby. "Lindsay, what the hell are you talking about? Are you on drugs?" "I'd like to get the 2-for-1 pizza deal delivered to my apartment," her voice sung. She continued, "I want 2 large pizzas, one with pepperoni, mushrooms, and spinach." "Lindsay, I think you have the wrong number," she interrupted again. "And for the second pizza, I'll get the Honolulu pizza, the one with extra pineapple." My whole body went cold as adrenaline filled my veins. I was scared. You see, me and Lindsay and I have always been pizza people. It has been our thing since she was a little kid. Every Friday night, we'd argue about toppings, try new places, and rate them out of 10. We called ourselves pizza connoisseurs, and Lindsay hated pineapple on pizza more than anything. I used to defend the pineapple topping just to rage bait her and watch her get worked up about it. One night when she was about 16, we were joking around and she said, "Dad, the only reason I would ever order pineapple on pizza is if I was in serious danger and needed help." At the time, we laughed about it, but I wasn't laughing anymore. She was using our code. I needed to act fast. I gripped the phone tighter and tried to keep my voice steady. "Oh, no problem. Can I get an address for the delivery?" She gave me an address I'd never heard of. Then I heard something that made my stomach turn. A man's angry voice in the background that I didn't recognize. He screamed, "Hey, what's taking so long?" Lindsay quietly whispered into the phone, "Be here soon, please," before hanging up. Without hesitating, I immediately dialed 911 and told them everything. They told me to stay put and let them handle it. I just smiled and responded, but I was already grabbing my keys, speeding down the highway to the address my Lindsay had shared with me. My girl had just told me she was in danger, and there was no way I was going to rely on some donut eaters to save her. Every red light felt like torture. I ran 2 of them. I didn't care. I kept hearing her voice in my head, the way she sounded so careful, so controlled, like someone was listening to every word. When I finally got to the apartment complex, my heart nearly stopped. The building was surrounded by a SWAT team and police officers, all facing towards the apartment. That's when I saw it. A man with a megaphone negotiating with the man who kidnapped my daughter. "We want to resolve this peacefully. No one needs to get hurt." I looked up to where everyone was facing, and my blood went cold. Through the balcony window, I saw a man pointing a gun at my daughter's head. My daughter was in an active hostage situation. I locked eyes with Lindsay, and there were tears in her eyes. She looked terrified. She looked like she'd given up hope, but I hadn't. The man was screaming something at the negotiators, but I wasn't listening to him. All I could see was Lindsay. She was 23 years old, but she was still my baby. The officers were still talking into their megaphones, still trying to reason with a monster. Just fucking shoot him already, I screamed at the officers. They shook their heads. It's too dangerous, sir. We know what we're doing. But I was done waiting. I grabbed the gun I had brought with me in my backpack, steadied my aim, and took a breath. I shot the fucker down. Lindsay immediately ran down the stairs to hug me and thank me. The officers looked embarrassed. You remembered the code, she cried. I hugged her tight and said, I'll always remember. She still refuses to eat pineapple on pizza.
When did a hospital look you in the eyes and flat out lie? My daughter Sable and I were 3 days into our holiday in Turkey when a minivan hit her while she was crossing the street. Sable fell hard, head first onto concrete. The van sped off. By the time I ran over, her blood was pooling on the pavement. I called the ambulance. We rode together. Mom, I'm scared. Sable kept squeezing my hand. That was the last normal thing she ever did. At the hospital, they rushed her through double doors. I wanted to go in with her, but a nurse stopped me. Family waits here. She put her hand on my chest. I looked at her. I'm her mother. I'm going with her. I tried to step forward, but she pushed me back. Not possible. Please wait here. I looked over and saw the security guard eyeing me up, so I sat down. An hour later, I asked again to see Sable. Different nurse. Same answer. 2 hours in, I found someone who spoke better English. Why aren't you letting me see my daughter? The woman hesitated. You're a tourist. Tourists make the staff uncomfortable. They ask too many questions and interfere with treatment. My blood ran cold. What did that even mean? Asked too many questions. Finally, after 6 hours, a doctor came out. Your daughter is fine. Minor concussion. We only kept her for observation. She's ready to go. I breathed a sigh of relief, but I was also worried. 6 hours isn't protocol for a minor concussion. Something seemed wrong. 15 minutes later, they brought Sable out in a wheelchair. She looked fine with a small bandage on her forehead, but she wasn't looking at me. She was looking past me. I walked up to her. Sable, are you okay? She turned her head and looked at me with a polite smile. I'm fine. Thank you for waiting. My daughter never spoke so politely. I placed my hand on her shoulder. Sable, it's me. It's Mom. She tilted her head. I'm sorry. Do I know you? My legs almost gave out. I grabbed the nurse and asked why she didn't recognize me. The nurse smiled. It's just concussion confusion. It will pass in a few hours. That night at the hotel, Sable looked at me like I was someone she'd just met. Polite, distant, formal. She called me ma'am and asked to use the restroom. I tried showing her photos, us at her birthday, the beach, middle school graduation. I'm sorry. I don't remember any of this. I didn't sleep that night. What was wrong with my daughter? The next morning, I took her back to the hospital and demanded answers. I waited 2 hours for a doctor. The doctor who came out wasn't the same one from yesterday. Your daughter had a concussion. Memory issues can last days, sometimes weeks. Give it time. She doesn't know who I am. I cut him off. She doesn't remember her own life. He shrugged. Actually shrugged. The brain is complicated. Be patient. I asked for her medical records and he said he'd have someone bring them. No one brought them. That's when I knew I was dealing with something really serious here. I found the administrator's office and demanded the records. She smiled and said they were being processed. When? Soon. I want them now. That's not possible. Please wait. I waited 4 hours and went back. Different administrator. Same answer. I came back the next day and the next. Each time they had a new reason and a new delay. Then day 3 changed everything. Sable woke up with a huge pain in her lower abdomen. I asked her if I could look there. She said okay. Then she slowly took off her clothes. I saw bruises, deep purple, on her inner thighs and lower belly. She never had these. I grabbed her shoulders. Sable, do you remember anything about the hospital? She thought for a long time. Maybe the feeling of someone holding me down, but I'm not sure. My blood literally froze. I called a different hospital immediately. A private one with international staff. I paid cash for an emergency appointment. We were there within the hour. The doctor at the private hospital examined Sable for almost an hour. Drew blood, did scans. Then he asked to speak with me privately. I went into his office and he closed the door. Mrs. Valdez, your daughter has had a procedure. My eyes widened. I'd never been told this. What kind of procedure? He took a deep breath. An ovarian puncture. I didn't understand. The room was spinning. What are you saying? The doctor took my hand, gentle, like he was about to deliver news. I'm telling you that while your daughter was in their care, someone cut her open and harvested her eggs. I wanted to throw up. No way. Why would they do that? The doctor looked me in the eye. Black market. Eggs from young healthy girls are worth a lot. I couldn't breathe. What about her memory? She doesn't know who I am. He went quiet. Then, this procedure requires heavy sedation. If done incorrectly, oxygen levels drop. Damage to the hippocampus, where memories are stored, occurs. I was tearing up. Is it permanent? He didn't answer. That was the answer. I started full-on sobbing. My daughter was sitting in the next room, alive, but completely gone. We flew home 3 days later. I filed reports with the embassy and international lawyers, but the hospital denied everything. Records showed concussion treatment and nothing else. The lawyers said international cases almost never succeed. It's been a year and Sable still lives with me now. I don't know if she'll ever remember me, but last week she called me mom for the first time before going back to ma'am. So maybe there's hope. My husband, who once put me in the hospital after I joked about leaving, found the filed divorce papers I've been hiding from him. The front door opened at 10 p.m. and my husband Griffin walked in holding a red gasoline can in one hand and a stack of papers in the other. Found these in your dresser, he said, smiling, holding the divorce and custody papers. The ones I'd been hiding and planning to serve him with after me and the kid ran away tonight. Griffin, I can explain. No, cut me off and set the gasoline can by the door. Nobody leaves tonight. The box of matches rattled in his pocket. Then he locked the deadbolt. I gulped. Was he about to burn the house down with us in it? Sit down, his voice echoed. I did as I was told. My husband Griffin had been two-faced since the day we married. In public, he was the perfect husband and father. Donated to charities, took family photos at Disneyland, but at home, he was a violent monster and a dictator. Our son Christoph was 11 when he talked back to Griffin at dinner. Said he didn't want to finish his vegetables. That's all. Before the words were out of his mouth, Griffin grabbed his neck and slammed his face into the plate so hard I heard something crack. You eat what I give you. Understood? I could see Christoph's blood and tears mixing with the food under him. When he lifted his head, mashed potatoes were up his nose and gravy was running into his eyes. Our daughter Annie was 9 when Griffin made her stand in the corner for getting a C on a 6th grade math test. I tried to walk over to her when he wasn't looking, but he caught me and slapped me so hard I hit the floor. That's for disrespecting my authority. He kicked me in the ribs while Annie watched, too scared to even cry. But our youngest daughter Julie was different. She was 5. Griffin never touched her, never raised his voice at her, called her princess. She was his favorite because she was still small enough to worship him. I never tried to leave before filing the papers. The one time I joked about it at a party, hoping someone would see it as a cry for help, Griffin broke my jaw the next morning. He had the money, the lawyers, the family connections. I had nothing. So I filed the papers in secret with a lawyer from a completely different city. I knew what could happen if he found them, how he'd probably kill us. So I hid them in a tampon box in my closet. I thought it would be the one place he'd never look, but now he was holding them. He pulled a chair across from me and sat down, stared at me without blinking. You think you can take my children from me? His voice was quiet. That was even worse than yelling. Griffin, please. The kids are sleeping. My voice cracked. Oh, he smiled at me. I'll make sure they're sleeping all right. Then he stood up and looked towards the stairs. I'm going to have a conversation with them. They're old enough to learn what happens when mommy tries to tear this family apart. He took one step towards the stars. I grabbed his arm. They didn't know about the papers, I pleaded. This was all me. Take it out on me instead. He paused, looked at my hand, then at my face. face. That's not the point. He shoved me backward and kicked my left ankle hard. The ankle he broke 2 months ago that still hadn't healed. I heard it crack, then I felt it. I hit the floor screaming instantly. Griffin started climbing the stairs. I didn't know what to do, but I just started crawling behind him out of instinct. I heard Kristoff's door slam open seconds later. Dad, what's going on? Crack, the sound of a hand hitting something. Did I say you could speak? I pulled myself up the stairs one step at a time. By the time I reached the top, I heard Annie scream, then something crashed against the wall. You packed a bag? You think you're going somewhere? I could see Annie in her room, crying, holding her arm. I didn't hear or see Kristoff at all. Was he even alive? Then Griffin turned around and looked down the hall toward Julie's door. My blood froze. Please, I was on my knees. She's 5. She doesn't know anything. Griffin didn't even look at me. He walked to her room and opened the door. It was dark. My jaw dropped. Julie's nightlight was off. She never turned her nightlight off. Why had she turned it off? Julie? Griffin called out. Princess? It's Daddy. No answer. He stepped inside. Don't be scared, baby. Come out. He walked toward Julie's bed. I saw the small lump shaped like Julie, trembling under the covers. She was hiding from him. Princess, Griffin said again. I said come out. His voice had a violent edge to it. He reached down and ripped the covers off Julie. That's when Julie's hands instantly shot up. She was gripping a kitchen knife with both hands, the big one I couldn't find last week. She drove it into Griffin's thigh before he could blink. He screamed instantly, stumbled backward, grabbed his leg. Blood started pouring through his fingers. He crashed into her dresser and fell to the floor. Julie was standing on the bed, knife in her hands, blood on her small fingers, tears streaming down her face, whole body shaking. You don't get to hurt us anymore, Griffin was screaming. I'll kill you! That's when Kristoff's bedroom door opened. His entire face was bleeding. He stepped into Julie's room, stood between Julie and Griffin. I heard Annie's voice from her room. 911. Griffin was arrested minutes later, still writhing on the floor.